Welcome back for another Hobby Ramble. I'm Addy,
I'm Matt.
and we are here for, I think this is our last episode of the year.
Last of the year.
Yeah.
And so we got holiday stuff. And, you don't need to listen to us through that stuff.
Yeah.
So we thought that today might be a good time to kind of take a look back on the year, since we're not going to have another chance to do that. Look at things that we've worked on this year, projects that we've liked, things that have excited us, maybe projects that didn't go anywhere and we're like, dang, I don't know why I did that. And then maybe talk about what we want to do next year.
Yeah.
I think that's our rough plan today. And
Yeah.
in the meantime, we're just putting together little plastic dudes.
Yeah. I got some dire wolves.
And I've got some beakies that we're building that are going to go real fast at some point.
Did you see that new vampire lady that was previewed today?
No, I don't look at vampires.
It's a new, like, big vampire. It's like one of Neferata's, like, lieutenants. She has a snake.
Sure. She has a snake?
She has a snake with her.
Is she a snake?
No,
Does
no,
she
she-
ride a snake?
It's just like a big snake.
But like real big?
Like real big, like a pet snake.
I'm here for it.
Which I think is really weird because there's no other snakes.
Well, now
Oh,
you know that
soul
she's
blade?
the snake lady. Like,
And she's going to come out with in a box that has 10 dire wolves and 3 fell bats.
which is just in time for you to be building a whole bunch of dire wolves.
Yeah, which they had 10 dire wolves and 3 fell bats in the Christmas box.
Oh, so they're just really trying.
They're
They're really trying to move wool.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I like the new direwolf kits. I always was hopeful that that meant they would put out some new Fenrisian wolves, because the ones that exist look kinda dumb.
Yeah. These kits are good though.
They're good. They look cool. If I wanted like diseased and messed up Fenrisian wolves, I'd use them.
This
But
would be a great hobby project, is that you can just de-disease them.
oh, play veterinarian and
Yeah.
cure these dire wolves. And just fill their wounds with fur and meat. Yeah, I could do that. I certainly could spend all the time doing that.
That's one way to spend
Hey,
2024.
Nick. Hey, Mr. Carvili. Yeah. How are you had your family trip? How'd that go? You had a good time?
Yeah. Wait, which trip? The
You've
one.
been
the
all
last
over the
one.
place.
It was good. It was really good. I was in New York.
Nice.
That was pretty nice. It was good to see family. I feel like I've been traveling every other week. I think I actually have been
I
traveling
think
every
I
other
think
week.
you have been. It's either been you've been getting home just in time for stream
or just missing it.
or just missing it, which
Yeah.
is also fine.
And I think now I'm home for a while.
That's nice.
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere.
I always like being home over New Year's and such. Everything kind
Yeah.
of slows down. The city is kind of empty and quiet and dark. I like all that. We tend to go out to low tides around this time, around the winter solstice, and it's dark. You're by yourself, especially when the solstice is around Christmas. So you just go out there. Nobody's out there. It's like midnight, and you're looking at creepy critters under rocks and stuff.
We did
You
that
went out
last
there
year,
with
yeah.
us last year, yeah. A good time. End of year stats on your Steam gaming. Oh God, I'm not sure I want to see those.
This is almost a Fenrisian wolf.
I know. That's what I say. It's just hungry.
Yeah.
I like the crow on. Is that a crow on it?
It's a crow. There's a crow eating a bit of the wolf, and then you know why it's hungry? Because its gut is just open. It just falls right out.
If you ever want to get rid of crows, you snip that off and you give it to me. I would love that as a bit. I didn't know that came with crows. I always wanted crows.
Is it just? I think it's just the one.
Crushing. Yeah. End of year stats with Steam. I'm just.
I don't play video games.
I was gonna say, like, I was saying, like, oh, I don't want to see that. really I play like 2 games with friends, and that's about it. But I did cross my 1,000 hour mark in Rocket League recently, which is that level where it's like, oh, that's a lot of time, but also I'm still not good at the game. Like it's
Yeah.
one of those. Ugh. Yeah, it is weird how the solstice lines up with Christmas. I'm sure it's totally
It's
coincidental.
like someone planned it or something.
Wild. That's impossible. Heresy. That actually might be heresy.
Just a little heresy.
Like real heresy,
Yeah.
but like, Pope can't get me. Um, yeah,
Did you watch Rick and Morty?
no. Well, I haven't. Probably haven't watched the one that you're talking about.
Well, yeah, it's the one from last week.
Yeah, I
The
know.
the Pope is in it.
Oh, good. Oh man. So I think we might want to just start this slideshow.
Yeah, there's a lot of slides.
We got a lot of slides because we broke it down by month, and then there were some months where like I don't know. There were a couple months where I went on a tear and did like 3 or 4 groups of models in a month, and we got stuff to do. Let me see. So we want to go to slide view. We want to do this. This is our first image. We are transitioning over. And the first one is one of Addie's.
This was from so long ago.
Almost a year.
Almost a year. And it still took me like months to finish that model from this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is before I repainted some of the purples. I've been struggling with purples for a long time, as you can tell now. I'm just getting the right ones that are like not too red, not too blue, just kind of doing all the right things.
Just demanding so much from your purples.
Yeah.
Now I remember we played a game and we finished the game and you were looking at that box of witches and you're like, I'm gonna buy that box of witches.
Yeah. It was like $20 or something. It was so cheap.
It was very affordable.
It was so cheap you couldn't afford not to buy it.
That's how all these models are. You're basically losing money by not doing it. Have you continued that project? I think I've seen a couple more from it. Do you want to keep working on it?
So I have the unit of witches done.
Yeah.
And I have a unit of incubi that are almost all shaded. I've been wanting to pick that project up for a while, and just have been picking up other projects in the meanwhile. Actually,
like happens
Yeah.
in this.
I have the whole army. Well, I have like 1,200, 1,500 points, but it's mostly all in boxes.
Yeah, I don't think that counts.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's go to the next one. What's the hotkey?
I think it's the arrow.
Hot dog.
It works.
This is where I started off the year. I started off the year getting suckered into playing Heresy, which was a great experience. It was a really slow escalation league where it was like 250 points a month, which is like 1 unit, maybe 2 if you're feeling real spicy about it. No, was it 250 every 2 months?
No, every month.
Every month?
Yeah.
Still, it was very doable. It was very reasonable to do it, and I was suckered in by that. And so I started picking up my second Space Wolves army because I was gonna be like, I gotta do something different. Like I gotta do White Scars. I gotta do something that's different. And then I realized how much easier it was to do Heresy Space Wolves when you already have a box full of Space Wolves bits from 40k. And then it was about, I wasn't going to do it. And then I found the paint scheme for it that worked. And this is my test model / Praetor / it was a model that I was using for 40k as well. And I ended up, it's mostly painted with oils. Like I think I did some basic paint going down, and then it's just a bunch of little stipply dots of oils that I smudged around to kind of create the gradients. And then we can talk about it more because there will be more Heresy in here from me. But I think what worked really well for me with this is that since there were oils, I needed to do those at my studio, which is not at home. And then I would put all the oils on there, and then I needed to wait a couple days for the oils to finish curing because I put them on a little thinner or thicker than most washes and that sort of thing. So they needed a little bit of time to cure. But then I had to have projects going when I was at home, so I would sit there and paint normal acrylic models at home, and then Space Wolves in the studio. Anyway, I love this dude. He was it Fenrir? No, oh, what's his name? His name is Fafnir Rad, which is and
Definitely not a Space Wolf name.
definitely an Imperial Fist, because that's really what he is, running around with the name Fafnir and two giant axes.
And a beard that puts most people who live in Ballard to shame.
I know. Anyway, we can move on from Fafnir.
And I painted some Heresy in the beginning of the year. This I painted in
Yes.
February. Interestingly, I painted almost my whole Heresy army last year when I was unemployed.
Oh no!
Uh-oh.
Bit down.
At least it's not a gray carpet like in Waystone.
Oh, I know. You keep it. It's lovely for that.
So this is the unit of the what are they called? Numerologists, who are very expensive and just like kinda okay.
I think they've beat me up a couple times, but that's mostly because I'm bad.
They buff a unit. Like the unit itself is not good, but they buff.
Yeah.
So they're really good at buffing shooting units. But like everything else for Thousand Suns, they are also pretty likely to blow themselves up.
Yeah, I think you have either won games against me pretty handily and controlled the game, or blown yourself up and I've run away with it.
Yeah.
I think that's been the two outcomes of games that I've played against you.
And that's kind of my issue with Thousand Suns is that they're so swingy.
Totally. It kind of doesn't feel good either way.
Yeah, it's either I'm like, well, I'm just a little too strong and just stomp the whole game, or I kill my own army.
I don't think we talked about your painting process for these. Like what?
No,
You got to give the candy apple red.
Yeah, so the
recipe.
What I do is I use Necrogold as the base. I think that decayed metal might work better.
I don't think it's shiny enough.
But then what I do is I do a very aggressive zenithal highlight from above, with metal color gold, which is super bright.
Yeah. Okay, so you would get more
a little
contrast,
more,
with decayed metal. That makes sense.
And then I use a special mix of 1 part Blood Angels red, 1 part Flesh Terrors red. Those are both contrast. 2 parts airbrush thinner.
Nice.
And it makes a big pot of that. And just airbrush a couple coats, very thin. And that's the process. And then I don't do any highlights. I find that doing highlights even on bigger models just doesn't look that good.
You're doing it with all the metals. Like, I think it would be hard to highlight a lot of it, and with all your white being kind of the pop color on it, the accent color to your red, it just needs to be clean and white, and it will contrast enough against it.
The white I do end up highlighting more. Like the red ends up being just the red that comes out of the airbrush, which means that TAC Marines very fast.
Oh yeah, I remember you were cruising through them, and I'm like, I have to oil paint all of these, which was still fast for me, but I was being left in the dust. But that's okay. That's kind of par for the course for me. Let's go to the next one. Oh, all right. These are my Einhir Hearthguard for my squats. These are my favorite models for squats ever since I started collecting them and building them. I told myself that I was going to have 30 of them so that My final list was going to have 30 of them, no matter what. Even when they were all super high costed and everything else, I wanted to bring all the Hearthguard I possibly could, because I love the models, and it was so satisfying playing with them in ninth and I guess in 10th. I haven't played with them in 10th, but they are so. That's a great tail, man. I need to
Which
get
one?
that for bits. This direwolf tail, like put that on a dreadnought, no problem.
I bet you could get this kit for pretty cheap now.
I bet you I could
Because
after the Christmas box and
The
everything.
Christmas box, and they're going to be in the next box too.
Yeah. The anyway, the Einherjar in that exo armor, man, they are so tough. They with the champion, they could just like basically. Oh, and I'd run them as the super tanky group, which increased their toughness by 1. So they were like T6 running around, like just you couldn't kill them. It felt so good. They didn't do a whole lot. They were very dwarfy. It felt great. They like walked forward and they could not be stopped, and anything that got too close died. And then they just kept walking forward. It was great.
Look, you can even get just a paw here.
Yeah. As like a cloak clasp or something like that, it'd be great. And they're kind of the right size compared to Thunderwolf cavalry, which can be a little big.
Yeah.
Um,
You said you didn't play much 10th. I haven't either. The most 10th I played was at the Grand Narrative, but I am playing a game this Friday with our friend Danny.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I ran into Danny the other day. I was in the club and I saw him. And
On Friday?
Yeah, on Friday when I was running around with Wes.
I was there on Friday too, but I was there after.
Oh yeah, you miss.
I was there in the evening.
You missed the party.
Yeah.
No, Wes, Stefan, and I did a big lift, and then wandered around with Wes because Wes finishes their lift, and then we just walk around town for a while. It was nice.
Yeah.
No, I haven't played a game of. I've played one game of 10th against Addy, and I endeavor to play more. My rule is that I need to have my squats finished before their codex comes out, which I think is very doable because it hasn't been announced yet.
You might have a couple of years.
And I got another box of these from my Secret Santa, so I only need one more box of them, and then I'm all set. And I've got 10 of them ready to be airbrushed. I was going to do that today, but then my day got away from me.
Yeah.
Anyway, love the models. They're great. Love the plasma swords. The little volcanic blades are super cool. I think you get a lot of punch out of them. I love this is one of the paint schemes that I felt like I just nailed. I wanted to do it a certain way, and it just turned out that way. And that feels good every time. What do we got? Oh, Mr. Fellhand.
Mr. Definitely not
Mr.
not Bjorn.
Not Bjorn. I think this is the model where I was like, okay, no, I've got the oils down. I've got the right mix of colors. I've got the right color scheme for it. The right level of contrast going on. Like, this felt really good. Felt like I nailed it. And what a cool model. I got it when it came out in plastic, because originally it was in resin from the Burning of Prospero box.
It was in plastic.
It was in plastic, but you could only get it from the Burning of Prospero box. So it's a rad model.
We should have put that picture of your Bjorn, not Bjorn.
My not Bjorn. Gygor. It's not even Gregor, it's Gygor.
And my Armand, just touching tips.
Gingerly touching tips, yeah. No, I like this guy. He's not very good on the table. Like, he's fine, but not very good.
Yeah, I mean, compared to Armand, that they both came in the same box.
Armand just smears him every time. He's good into like chaff. He can blitz through and kind of solo a squad of attacks, because he'll go first and he'll kill enough to make him run and then sweeping advance. But otherwise, he's just kind of mediocre. He runs real fast, does some things, looks cool. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot more to say about
What do
it.
we have next?
This
I
is the
love
month
that
these.
you had. You have a bunch.
Yeah. I kind of went wild this month.
This is May.
No, this is still
March.
March. But these are my oh, what are they?
Bar.
Varagir. Yeah, these are my Varagir, which are the Space Wolves like elite Terminators. They're an absolute menace on the board. They go up to weapon skill 6 as infantry, which is wild. And I just had so much fun kitting them out. Like this one's got, I like it because it's got the skull strapped to his shoulders, which I just think is rad. A bunch of them have frost axes, which aren't very good in the game, but they look cool from all the Wolfen kits and all that. Just absolutely had a blast with them. We can move on though. Recon.
Yeah, and some of Recon Marines. These were really fun to do because I got to paint a very, very different scheme for my 1,000 Suns. Instead of the focus on talking and not on how to put that leg together.
Yeah, I'll go heads down on the building.
So it was really fun to just do a very different scheme. There's a really fast black. I've been promising a few folks at the club that I was going to do a video tutorial on how to do this, and I'm still going to.
In the new year.
In the new year.
We'll add it to our list that we definitely have.
I think I do have it on a list. I have that.
There's that monkey episode.
Yeah, and how to transfer paints out of Citadel pots into dropper bottles.
Oh yeah,
not using any funnels.
But that's our big plan for our YouTube channel. We're gonna nail that one.
That's retirement money there.
Blow up, and then all the plastic we could ever want will come off of that one video, and we will become the slap chop.
Yeah, we will be the slap chop.
I am become slap chop, destroyer of worlds.
But yeah, the scheme is very quick with just dry brushing, and it looks pretty decent. And then the thing I really liked is having the one different shoulder pad to like really tie them into the army. They've never done anything for me in a game. I think I used them wrong.
I think you might. They haven't done anything for you. I think they've just died.
They often like blow their brains out turn one, and then there's just one of them left.
That said, I think when we've played, you've sniped off a character or two, or like a sergeant, which is useful. But I don't bring a lot of squishy characters. I think if you can pop a apothecary or something like that out of a group, they're definitely worth their points.
Yeah.
I always want to do the Space Wolf version where you take melt-a-bombs with them, forward deploy them, sprint, and just tackle a tank with your recon squad and blow it up.
Yeah.
That's the dream.
Oh, yeah. And then I had these really cool 3D printed Sekhmet Terminators that I started painting. They're not done yet. But they're like red basically.
But they are
done.
Cool.
They're really cool. They're not very good. Nothing in 1,000 Suns is good. So I don't have to say that anymore. It's all bad. Especially after the FAQ. That made everything worse.
Oh, the FAQ was crushing out of nowhere too. Yeah. Like very quietly, nothing happening with Heresy, and they stick their head in and tell you that you're worse now. I mean, all of those rulings made sense, but also like you have nothing else, which sucks. We'll go on to the nexties. Oh yeah. So these are some of my tree revenants that I got going. I got tired of painting power armor. And I decided it was time for some sort of organic shape. And what is more organic than painting tree people? This is all heavily inspired / taken from Cult of Paint. What's his name? Andy?
Yeah.
He's just an excellent painter. If you're not stealing from him, like, what are you doing? You should steal from him. He's excellent. I mean, always say that you're taking it from him, but
yeah, it's
a great little color scheme. It's super poppy. I don't like. I like how green they are. I like that I couldn't find the exact green that he was using in the AK 3rd gen range, because I think he was using a Vallejo pot.
Mm-hmm.
But I sat there and I went, well, do we do I want this one or this one? And then my wife CJ was just like, you know what? Who cares? They're organic. They're ghost people. Like, have some variation in there. So I use different mixes of them. Like, the characters at 50-50. A couple of them are the more minty green. A couple of them are the more yellowy green. Like, super, super straightforward, easy, all of that. It was really fun. I got to paint bodies, and for whatever reason, I find it much easier to paint green skin or like ghost skin than it is to paint human.
Yeah, I can see that because like I feel like you have less of an expectation of what it should look like.
And there's just fewer colors to work with. Like, people have so much color going on in their skin between the reds and the pinks and the blues and the yellows and the all of that. That it's just way easier to be like, no, they're green. Done. They're ghosts. They don't have blood.
Yeah.
Easy. And then I really wanted to focus on the bases for them. So I made my own little kind of terrain scatter. There's moss, there's mushrooms, there's plants from Epic Basing, which I love. And I just focused a lot on building up bases because if you're going to have a forest army, you better have like cool terrain for them to run through.
You mean if you have a terrain army?
Yeah, if you have a terrain army, you should probably put a couple models on there.
Okay, let's see how we do this. This is the last one.
We're gonna try.
So we got to go here. We got to do this.
Boom.
And then we go this.
Oh, kind of in the same loop. Like, the big thought that I was having when I was working on these was, how do I make lots of colors of green work on the same model? Because like the brown is a pretty green brown. The ground plants need to be green, but they can't be as bright as the skin, which is ghostly. They can't be quite as bright as like the leaves on the tree parts of the thing. I mean, yes, I'm bringing in teal for the wings, but that still has a lot of green going on. And then I ended up bringing in this sort of purple color as a secondary through there. Or even the metals that are going on there. It's copper and then oxidation on the copper to make it kind of minty and green too. So it's just like green, 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 green. How do you break it up? How do you set it up for all that? I think when I did the bases for these, which I really love, I was sitting there with my wife and she was just watching me start. And I was like, come here, come sit down next to me, you person with a master's degree in sculpture. And just, she's like, well, what do I do? Just, I don't care. Do whatever you got to do. They've got to be able to fit on there. And we had a really good time putting them together.
This was fun.
Big fella.
We had, I think, no, I've had this model for a long time before I built it. But you got the...
Oh, yeah, this was our tag team.
Yeah, we both built our dreadnoughts at the same time.
Yeah, we were building our big Forge World dreadnoughts because they had announced that they weren't going to make the full resin body anymore.
So this they still make because this is it's not a regular contemptor.
You're special.
Yeah, he's a special contemptor.
Mine is just a regular contemptor, but they said they were going to stop making the Space Wolf version. I was like, absolutely not. So then I bought it, and it has been excellent ever since. And we built it on this very table. Do I have these lined up correctly? Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah, the shoulders on this guy were awful to paint.
Oh, I bet.
It's just painting over the metallic, super shiny metallic is really hard. And I think that I have learned a bunch of tricks where I actually use varnish with a brush in between steps to be able to
put
paint.
A little mat on.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense. I always end up like putting a very small amount of paint on, like even if it's dilute and not covering, and just letting it dry so that I have some sort of surface for it to bite onto.
Speaking of Heresy Dreadnoughts.
This guy, this is maybe my favorite model I've made. Like, is it my best painted one? No. But like, this damn model, when I asked for the bits to make this, uh, Addie hopped on the Discord channel and I went, "What do you want storm cannons for as a Space Wolf dreadnought?" And I went, "Oh no, I'll make it, Wolfie.
Yeah.
Don't you fret." Because if you're gonna have, hi there, Wes. If we're gonna have the if you're gonna have a Space Wolf dreadnought, it's got to have double guns, big old slambo guns, and he's got to be terrifying. So it's like big giant skull from one of the Space Wolf claws, dreadnought claws. But then I took the frost claws off of it and put them upside down to be tusks. And man, just all sorts of bits. I've got the little header thing that went on top of the dreadnought. That's the little bottom part. Sculpted pelts, strapped them in. Man,
And that thing is terrifying on the table.
I think it looks as scary as it should be because
Yeah.
it is a punishing model. But like also not in an uncounterable sort of way. Like you tag it in melee, it's just done.
But it's interesting because like the Leviathans are so slow
They're so slow.
that actually having a shooty one is pretty appealing.
It is, and like the range isn't the whole board, but it's long enough to threaten a lot of stuff, which is
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, you just put it in the middle and
I mean,
use that.
it's how I tend to build a lot of my armies. I like melee armies, and then I like to add enough shooting support that it's really irritating for people to stand out in the middle and shoot at my guys while they run at them. That's my whole game plan. I've spoiled it to everybody. That tends to be how I like playing these games.
Yeah.
It's actually weird as I'm starting to think about White Scar stuff and like, wait, how do I actually build something that has a goal and does that goal, other than just go fast?
That's my White Scar army.
Yeah.
I wrote a list. It's all bikes and speeders.
I mean, I think it's a rad option. The Golden Keshig, man, it's like initiative 10 on the charge with a strength 10 weapon with lance, so that you could just literally crash them into the side of tanks and
and
just
they can
blow
get
them
plus
up.
7 on the charge.
It's just
to their move.
wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're crazy.
If you get you can get fleet 4 with
Easily with a Stormseer.
yeah. And then they're already plus ooh, and I think they're plus 3
From their
base.
movement.
Yeah.
No, it's
So-
absolutely wild. Anyway, I'm excited. I've been thinking about Golden Keshig for most of the day.
The big issue with them is that the models are like $60 each.
I know. Did you see my post? Because
No.
that was my post. I'm like, each model bought separately from Forge World is $60 a pop.
So cool things that I've seen is there's a couple of options for what you can do. One is you get Custodes.
I saw that and I think it's rad, but the bikes are so like decked out in a way that is not.
Paint them white with a red eagle, and it looks really good. I've seen it done. I'll send you
I've seen it.
pictures.
I have also seen
Okay.
it done because I saw that and I went, "That's rad." But whenever I'm reading White Scar's lore, they're talking about like how stripped down everything is to be faster, and like those Custodes bikes are not stripped down.
So interestingly, the Golden Keshig are heavy, so they can't run.
They can't
Yeah,
really.
yeah, which is annoying because
Now they're fast.
well, all the other bikes in the army can get Shroud 5-up
Yeah.
when they run, so you'll lose that a bit of durability with them. They're already, I mean, they have a 2-up, so
Yeah.
and they can still
Hey, Boogie.
evade, right? So, but you just have to be a little more mindful with how you play them.
Oh, I'm famously careful with how I handle my models. All right. We're getting off base. We're just talking heresy, which I guess makes sense.
We have to press the.
We have to click this one.
We can either go if we go. Let's just go here.
That works.
Back to
Oh.
this.
This model is okay. these are actually two of my favorite models that I've built.
Yeah.
Back to back. This one, I reposed the whole thing, and I think I did it in such a way that most people couldn't tell that you reposed it. I spent so much time like sawing out the joints, the ankle joints, and like elbow joints and knee joints so that I could repose the whole thing naturally, and then filled it all in with resculpted wood and all of that. Like, so much work going into this. Again, it's Andy Wardle.
Yeah.
He has this lovely, very similar sort of thing. I think he uses a couple different bits that I didn't, because I wanted to keep using the same arm because it matches up really well. I think he uses an arm from a different kit from one of the Daughters of Cain. Yeah, absolutely love this model. It's one of my favorite things I've done. In a subtle way, which the last one was not
subtle.
Not. I also think it's one of my favorite weapons I've done. Like, the blade looks nice, the gradient looks nice. It does the sort of magic non-metallic metal thing fairly well, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep going.
We just have to press the button here.
We have to press the button. Oh, this was the month that I went wild.
Yeah.
Because this is all May, I think. So this is Ed's 8-bound that I painted for him. This is all because I wanted to try out a Duncan's Tooth and Coats paint.
Yeah.
And he was like, I think I have one. And I'm like, he's like, what can I? I'm like, wow, I don't want to like buy half a paint thing off of you. Hey, you've been having your friends paint models for you. And then I was like, oh, well, I'll paint one of those. No problem. I had so much fun with this. He's terrifying. I like the little underglow that I've got going on, that it's not really OSL. It's just kind of like, oh, there's a demon in that man. In fact, there might be 8 demons in that man.
Oh, SL.
Oh, SL. No, but I really like the way it turned out. I really like the metals on it and the skin. I just think it works. I like the contrast that I managed to get between my lights and my darks. It's just about to do the same damn thing again.
Some good old 1000 cents. I think this is the last unit I finished.
I remember you posting like, I finally finished another unit.
Yeah, it's
happening.
I think I started this unit. It took me like almost a year.
It was quite the event.
I haven't painted my 40k 1000 cents in a while, and part of it is because I've gotten really discouraged with how they changed the unit composition, because I built right now I have 8 flamers and 12 with bolters. So the idea was that I could do either 10 with bolters, or 2 units of 5 with the Soul Reaper cannon, which made a lot of sense in 9th.
Mm-hmm.
In 10th, you have to run them into like 5s and 10s.
Oh no!
So I have a bunch of like models that don't make sense. I do have another box of rubrics that I just need to like open it up and build.
Yeah,
and then we'll be fine. But
it is a lot.
Yeah,
it's a lot going on. I hate these little hands on here if they don't quite fit.
But these are, I want to pick these up again and finish this army. It's an army that will eventually get finished, but it's been a project army, so it's very, very slow. And I'm hoping to be able to get enough points. I brought it up to one tournament, and that tournament did not do best painted. And man, I was
you a little upset,
I was
a little salty about that.
Yeah, because I mean, I wasn't going to win that tournament. That was not a good list.
No.
It was a really great looking list. Out of Forge Fiend, it was 9th and out of Forge Fiend in the list.
I think for that one, that was the army that, for my 40k Space Wolves and your 40k Thousand Suns, we both learned the lesson that like if you decide you're going to go as hard as possible. It's just it can't be your main project. It's got
Right.
to be like, okay, I'm going to do a couple models today. I'm going to do a couple models this day.
Yeah. And then here's the Tetra. I was so excited. Our friend Jake went to the UK and he went to Warhammer World, and I asked him if he could pick up some Tetras for me. This is before 10th came out. So nobody knew if
You
Tetras
are
were good or
not
not.
like some saucy meta
Yeah.
chaser, is what you mean to say?
Yeah. And I just wanted some Tetras because I was like, Tetras are really cool. Um,
They're cute little
yeah.
like go bikes.
And they've always been like a decent utility piece. I think they're cool looking. And I wanted to paint them up. And man, were these fun. I built and painted them really, really fast.
Yeah, I think
And
I remember that.
for a Forge World kid, I was super impressed. Like they came together, um, no real issues.
Mm-hmm.
Everything kind of fit. The hardest part is the instructions,
Or lack thereof.
lack thereof, of trying to figure out how like where the parts go and where they're supposed to line up. Um, but the cool thing is like any of the parts that need to fit together, like the curve of the roof of the Tetra, right? It doesn't fit great, but what you do is you dip it in boiling water and then you squeeze everything together,
Oh yeah,
and then
yeah.
it just goes right into shape. So I would say that definitely like the advanced kit that they give it now, like that's definitely the right
The
category.
expert kit, yeah.
Expert kit, yeah. Because you need to know like
It's just a
how to
different material.
judge
Yeah.
the kit, but once you do, it works so well. And then just for painting, they're super fun.
Oh yeah. Let's see. Ah, I love this model. This might be my favorite painted one. The other two are probably my favorite that I built,
Yeah,
but this is one of my like. In some ways, it feels like I cheated a little bit by using really bright, like using teal in this sort of way, and magenta and stuff is just like, oh no, you're trying to cheat this, aren't you? you
yeah,
have you have hacked the human brain. Um, but no, this is super fun. It was my first commission that I did for Ryan and his witch pigeons. He wanted to be surprised, but have it fit in his army, kind of, and sent me his army stuff. I kind of messed with his color scheme a little bit, but drew from a lot of the same stuff with it. And then otherwise, I just had a night where I got a little high and I just did like 80% of this model in a night where I painted all the armor at once. Uh, all of the cool shadow colors, the purple stuff, like all of that's underpainting. I did very little with that myself. I think this is one of the few models that when you look at it in person, it is just as bright as it looks in the photos. Like I would
yeah.
just sit there and look at it and go, holy shit, look at this. Um, and then I dropped it right before I was going to give it to. I was literally taking it out to like make sure I was happy with all the gradients and all the blends and that I didn't miss a spot and all of that. And I dropped it because every model that has an iron crown must have the points break at some point. And the servo skull went flying, and I messaged him. I'm like, I'm so sorry, Ryan. I'm gonna do my best to fix this, but like, yikes.
Yeah. Sorry, your model is broken now, and good news is you didn't do it.
The good news for me is that Ryan is like the most understanding kind dude, uh, and went, oh yeah, no problem. Hey, iron halos always break.
Yeah, they're there
That
to
is
break.
not on you. Do your best to fix it because you're good at fixing things, Matt. And otherwise, it is what it is. Okay, love it. Oh man, this is where you're like, oh man, job, gotta work, gotta work.
Yeah.
Um, next month's commission from me, this giant Bane blade that I did. It's funny when you're talking with people when you're doing commissions because you're just like, you ask people the same questions and they give you totally different answers. Like Ryan wanted to be surprised when I was asking him what he wanted from it, and this Ryan, I go, what do you want out of your tank? And then he was like, well, so there's people living in it. And I go, yes. And he kind of keeps going, and I realize that he's talking about like this tank exists in a real space, like so he's starting to lean towards like, oh, okay, I'm reading like historical vibes, some lived inness, like putting this fantasy space sci-fi tank into a real world context is what he's into. So lots of focus on weathering and military modeling techniques that I was using. I did not enjoy it because I don't enjoy tanks, but I enjoyed using all of those skills, and I think it turned out so cool. Like to say I didn't enjoy it is probably not fair, but like I would have never chosen to paint a Bane blade if somebody didn't go, please paint my Bane blade, Matthew.
Yeah.
Uh, and I think it turned out really cool. And it gave me a lot of opportunity to try things like masking and weathering and putting big las cannon holes in there and having like steel drip out of the bottom of them. So cool. Um, Last one. It's Farsight in
Oh, this is
progress.
Farsight in progress. He's basically still at that level. I have had a lot of fun painting Farsight, but I have a hard time painting characters in general. I just don't. I don't like the pressure.
Oh, you get a little wibbly under the pressure.
Yeah, it's just like the pressure. Then I'm like, I only have one of these. I'm only gonna ever have one Farsight. I'm not gonna get a second one, so it's got to be good.
Yeah, but you totally could, or you could dunk it. And
Yeah.
try again.
So then it takes me a long time to start them, and then I have to like get back to it. I do really want to finish Farsight. I think I need to pick what I'm going to finish this year.
Yeah, I think you've got a few like you said, big characters that are waiting there that you're really excited about and also terrified to pick up and start working on.
Yeah, Magnus is the my biggest concern. My biggest fear is figuring out how to build the model so I can paint it.
Sure,
Because he is complicated.
sure. I think that's fair. Um, I like how you went more vibrant with the armor for Farsight than
Yeah,
the
that
rest of
was
your army.
I decided that I wanted Farsight to really be a centerpiece for
Totally.
that army. He's gonna like he has a different red. He's brighter. He's bigger.
He's got a demon sword.
Yeah. Is this sword?
Maybe, maybe not.
I don't. I think I have to finish reading that lore. I think that the talisman that he has on his wrist, that's a demon artifact. Yeah.
The Yeah, I think it makes sense too. I always like your whole army doesn't need to be identical. In fact, sometimes I think that kills the progress of working on an army because you're like, I just don't want to do that same paint scheme again.
Yeah.
Oh, and then we're on to number 3.
Yeah. One of the things I do really like about some of these armies that I have mostly finished, which is really just the really just Tau and like the 30K Thousand Suns. I still have things that aren't done, but for my Tau, I can just like go pick up a unit and paint it and put it on the table next to the rest of a painted army,
Mm-hmm.
and that's so nice.
Yeah, I miss having a fully painted army. Having that ability to like, if I wanted to add something, I could and just set it down.
Yeah.
Oh, or like, which of these models do I want to bring today? Oh, luxury. All right, I see what I'm doing next. Oh, shoot.
Uh-oh.
Not that one. This one. Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Big
so
Daddy.
this year, I painted Russ. I started him in March and I finished him in August.
Oh, so it's just like painting rubrics.
Yeah. It's just, it was a lot of like, I started painting him in March and I'm like, I'm going to do this all by hand with a hand brush. I'm not going to airbrush anything with it. I want to like really focus on getting everything together and try and do this as a display model. And then I kind of got tired of doing all the blends and everything that went along with them. And then I put it down. And then I realized when I would go to pick them up, I'm like, I'm better than this now. And that actually kind of killed my motivation More than anything, it's just like starting something, putting it down, and going like, no, I'm better than where I started it. So I almost wanted to start him over. But then I just kind of went. My birthday's in August, and I wanted to play a bunch of Heresy for my birthday. And I wanted to bring Russ to play a bunch of Heresy
I
around my
remember that game
birthday.
that we played on your birthday,
Yeah,
and it
yeah,
was so bad.
yeah.
I was so scared of Russ. I basically just like kited him
Yes,
the whole game
which
until
is
the last turn where he like ran into a Spartan and
almost one shot it.
yeah, I think he took 5 whole points off.
Yes. No, it's definitely
Yeah,
it's all right. You did the right thing. That is the right way to handle Russ. Is just like bog him down with stuff.
I was just getting back at you for playing. What was that Brotherhood?
Oh yeah, when I played the anti-psyker Grey Knight Brotherhood,
Into my 1,000 subs for the first 1,000 point game that I had with them.
I was just in there going like, well, when else am I going to be able to bring the anti-psyker Brotherhood? And then it always worked for me, and it never worked for for Addy in that game, which was not cool. Yeah, this model was huge. It was a lot of work. I really liked the way it turned out. It's really cool to say that I have him and that I have him on a board and that he's finished. If I were to paint him again, I would paint him differently. Yeah. On to the next one. So we're in August now.
Yeah, we're getting towards the end of the year.
We're getting towards the end. Do we have 2?
No.
Oh, I'm on 2 here. So now we want to go there. Boom.
Crimson Fifth. This is probably.
I was gonna say this is about the time where we have a stream.
Yeah. Did we? Oh, yeah. You're gonna start seeing things that are on the stream now.
Yeah.
I was working on these Crimson Fists when the Leviathan box came out, and I was intending to take them to the grand narrative, but in classic fashion, I was too slow. And I got so stressed about finishing them that wasn't having fun anymore. So I just stopped.
Turns out the reason we do this is largely for fun.
Yeah.
When it stops being fun, should probably reevaluate.
So now I slowed down the pace. I've been trying to work on 5 models at a time. I would work on up to 10 if it was 1 unit, but right now I think the biggest unit I have left is 6 models. So that'd probably be the biggest batch that I work on. I'm trying to get the whole army built so I can maybe just play with it.
Yeah. I see nothing wrong with that.
And then go from there. But yeah, I'm super happy with how they're looking. They're a lot less bright.
Yeah, I feel like
some things.
I feel like the matte varnish is honestly does a ton of work with the ultra matte is so matte that it really just changes the look and feel. You want to like just rub them gently.
Yeah.
You think they'd feel velvety almost?
They look velvety. I have changed them like the varnish a little bit, and I mix in a little like it's 7 parts ultra matte to 1 part matte. It's something like
it's totally different.
It's something ridiculous that makes, but it makes such a big difference in the way that it looks.
No, I know those ultra mattes can get really strong.
Yeah. So yeah, so that's the big batch, and these are actually still not done, but it's just basing that's left on them.
Oh sure, that's easy peasy.
I learned a lot in the process is that it's better to base these before I do the last coat of varnish because I use Liquitex sand texture, and Liquitex sand texture is super glossy.
Oh, yeah,
so if you put it on, I mean, it's best to actually put it on before you prime. And I don't always feel like that's the case. Here it is, because then you can clean it off if it gets stuck onto the feet and you want to get it off. You can peel it off.
Yeah.
But if you do it after you paint, you're going to take the paint all the way off.
Sure. That makes sense.
So just learn a little bit, like small efficiencies there. I have 5 intercessors that are very close to being done. So I think I'm probably try to get those done in the next 2 weeks, and maybe I'll do Farsight.
I think that'd be a good Christmas present to yourself. Hanukkah gift.
Yeah.
Pigs. Oh, we got into Relic Blade. Oh man. I'm sitting here going, ooh, pig time. It's pig time. I had so much fun painting these pigs. I think I painted 8 models in the course of like 2.5 weeks, maybe a week and a half. I don't know. I painted them so quickly because I was having an absolute blast. It did take me, I mean, we were doing the stream at this point, so I probably have talked about it at some point, but it did take me a while to figure out how to do that deep black line because my first try, I painted it. I painted the whole model and then I tried to do with like black ink to ink in the lines. It was next to impossible to do. It looked like garbage, so I had to strip it and start over. And I started everything over just from a black primer and then painted in everything except for the shadows. And once you add some varnish to like unify the surface after all that, it really looks good. I'm really happy with how they turned out. Is all of my darkest dungeon dreams come true. And then I could start playing Relic Blade with people, which has been a blast. Yeah, that's it for me on this one.
Trying to get.
And then I have my commission for Isaac, which was on the Rain City Wargaming stream on Saturday. His Emperor's Champion, which I think killed a whole bunch of stuff, then ran away from a land raider, and then ran back and murdered the land raider before being taken down. Up to some shenanigans. This is another like lots of little. Isaac brought a lot of, or sculpted almost the entire thing. And then me being me, I took some of it apart and slightly changed the sculpting and kind of tightened in a few things and sanded in a few other parts that needed a gap filled and that sort of thing. And painted the whole thing. And you can't see it, but the cloak is one of my favorite parts on this one, where it's got red shadows going in through all of the white material. Just kind of trying to kind of like, these guys are both monsters in this scenario. They're both feeding corn. Nobody's a good guy in this fight right here, which I just think is super rad.
And this is more stuff from stream. This is my Apothecary Biologist, which is, I think I actually finished painting him now. I have to check.
I think you did.
I think he needs to get varnished and I need to base him. But I think I did the highlights. I came back. I kind of played with the whites a little bit more, trying to darken the shadows just to give it a little more contrast. But yeah, this is a really fun white technique from Darcy Bono. That was very, very easy to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a bunch of watered down contrast paint
with Lamian medium instead of contrast medium, and use the Lamian medium on the surface to really push all that paint into the recesses. And here's my underpainting. This is from our Halloween episode, and painted up some Cthulhu Death May Die models, which was really fun. I painted more since then, and I can just fly through painting that whole box.
I mean, there's I think we talked about that day. There's no like discernible biology to it, so you can kind of just do whatever the hell you want with it.
More Relic Blade.
More Relic Blade. This little guy right here, this like dwarf illusionist, which I really like his little color shifty glove and little circle glasses under there. He is an absolute beast in the game. It's 100% support character. There's no magic, or he like does no damage. But his utility is so huge that he's carried games for me. It's been so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has like a D&D style mirror images thing where you just pop up 2 things, and so when anybody hits you, you just roll to see if they didn't actually hit you, and it's so strong. It's so strong in the game.
The best part is his little like monster that he spawned that they touch tips.
Oh yeah, it's one of those Sean Sutter things where it's so fucking good. He summons this illusory horror, and if you like slide, I'm pointing at it on the model like a jerk. if you slide the model like over here towards his wand, the wand has like a little string of magic connecting the two.
Yeah.
It's so cool. Oh, it's so cool. How's Kroot?
The Kroot. I love Kroot. The Kroot are probably one of my favorite things about Tau. So I'm super excited to see what is going to be released with the new Tau book. And I'm really happy with where my Kroot flesh recipe is now. I feel like I really got it down. I can.
This is
really
one of my
push it.
favorite models that you've painted recently.
Things.
I think it turned out really
And it was fast. Too.
Yeah.
Like it was very
You
fast.
did most of it in a single stream.
Yeah.
I think this was a solo stream you did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the cloak or the cape took me a long time. That was something that I did really try to get just right with all the blends and doing a black. I think this is my first time doing like an organic shape black.
Oh yeah,
And trying
it
to
can be
get
a little
that right.
tricky.
Yeah. A lot of just working it back and forth. There, a lot of glazing. And then I was like, maybe I should do a Custodes army so I can do all the capes. I asked in Discord which army has the most capes, and I think Custodes.
I think it's Custodes.
And it's interesting because
Or like Sisters.
Yeah.
It's between the two of them.
But at Custodes, I can buy like 4 models and have 2,000 points.
Yeah, because what you need is another army.
Yeah, I don't need another horde army. I like Tau is kind of a horde army now.
I think everything in 10th edition is kind of a
Space
horde army,
Marines.
but that's a different episode.
Yeah. Pack Yak.
Pack Yak. I was on vacation and I had a Pack Yak with me, and I decided I want to paint it like a Highland cow because there was a lot of the parts on this model. There was a miscast on half of the body, so I really needed to like carve away chunks of the model to get the two sides to sit flat together. And then I needed to do a lot of gap filling and stuff like that anyway, so I was like, screw it. I'm really, being a Space Wolves player, I'm really comfortable sculpting fur into all of this, so I just sculpted extra hair on the head and all of that to kind of fill the gaps and just make him extra shaggy. And then similarly to the thing, I got a little high and I just painted fur on this lovely beast, and it's one of my favorites. I've only put bangers on here. I like every single one of them.
This is the latest thing I've been working on. I've been working on bone recipes.
Bone recipes.
Yeah, so I've done 2 different recipes here, and I have a third one that I used on my skeleton warriors. And this is fun, just figuring out like how to make the bone really pop on the grave guard. And you can see the one on the right is a little bit warmer, and the one on the left is a little bit cooler.
Mm-hmm.
They're both using Skeleton Horde, but one has a Wraithbone base, and the other one has Celestra Gray. And the Celestra Gray is just so blue that it makes the bone look green, which is a look that you
kind
can
of
go-
like it.
that
I
you
kind of
can
like
go
the
for.
green bone.
But in here, it felt like it was getting lost.
Sure.
The Skeleton Warriors, I use Vallejo primer, Vallejo Surface Primer Gray, which is very light.
Almost a white.
It's almost
just
white,
not
yeah.
white.
And then using the Skeleton Horde over that also looks very good.
Oh, I bet.
It's neutral enough that it still works. But yeah, these guys, I've been also just doing 5 models at a time. Felt like a good amount for me. So I'll finish 10 of them. I can also probably, if I decided to, I could finish 10 of these by the end of the year. Farsight, 10 of these, 5 intercessors.
I think that's.
I think that's my to-do list.
Yeah. I think that is.
Yeah,
I think that's everything.
that's it.
I thought I had the big dragon in here, but
I thought you did too.
you know what? That's okay. We don't need to scramble for it.
Let's see if it's.
We're close to time anyway,
Yeah.
so we can do. I think the last thing I wanted to talk about before we like finished up is like what are you looking at for next year? What do you want from the hobby next year?
I'm super excited for Old World
Yeah.
coming back to square basis. Um, and I think I do want to finish project.
Yeah.
Just be done. I've done a lot of thinking of army storage because I do have a display case, but that case is almost full.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of models that need to go somewhere.
Yeah, you need that metal shelf
Yeah.
somewhere. Like,
So building a bunch of custom magnet cases,
sure.
doing a lot of like hobby organizing. Um,
Seems like a lot of people are doing that this
Yeah.
time of year.
getting that out of the way and finishing these projects. I have Space Marines, Soul Blight are the two projects I think I'm going to try to finish early next year.
Yeah. I think my big thing right now is I'm coming off of, and you can kind of tell it in the paints the models that I have, where I kind of slowed down halfway through the year when I was painting things for other people, which I love doing. I love giving people things. But I think there's just something different when you're painting something that you love and that you're excited about. And that is kind of what I'm looking for next year, is, or at least for a while, is I'm trying to focus on things that I'm excited to do, that I want to paint, that is going to push some of my skills in a way that is interesting to me. So right now I'm doing these white scars. Otherwise, I'm with you. I want to finish something, and I'm going to try and finish those squats.
Nice.
Those are my big things. Maybe GW will help me with a data slate and raise some points for squats. Maybe they'll kick me in the nuts again. I don't know. But I think that's what I'm looking at for now. That's simple goals, but I think that's what I'm looking for.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, it has been a quiet day on the stream today, but if you're still hanging out, hey, thanks for being here. And what is that, Waystone Wargaming? Just feel real wild about just leaving a little paint on your brush.
Yeah, it's just a little too long.
Yeah, just let it get a little sticky.
Yeah.
No, I don't like that at all. I don't like that one bit.
No, I try not to.
All right, it's been a quiet day today, but I hope everybody has a lovely holiday. If you haven't already, this is the worst time to ask to like and subscribe. Please do.
Yeah, if you're still here,
We're
you
still
really,
here.
really should
Wow,
like or subscribe.
hearing us talk about things. Hope you all had a great evening, a good holiday season, and a happy new year. We'll be there in the new year, and maybe we'll see you otherwise anyway while we're hanging out.
Yeah.
So keep on hobbying.
Have a good night. Bye.
Bye.